Hey, chosen ones. So, I also want to thank you guys for, submitting a lot of those, comments in my community tab. I did have to take that post down because that stuff kept coming back. The whole beloved, yeah, I had to take it down. But, I have another topic that was requested, and I want to go ahead and just, help you all. So this topic is going to be, the person asks is, how can you deal with negative emotions in a healthy way? So with the negative emotions from other people that are there giving you negative emotions, or negative emotions that you feel internally with yourself. So let's go into it. So the first thing that I will say, step one, whenever you feel negative emotions, whether you feel it stirred up within you just out of random, or if someone says something to you or does something to you and you feel negative emotions stirring up, the first thing to do is to just pause and take a deep breath. Just breathe. Like we could do it right now, like on a count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Instantly, when you breathe, you allow the breath of life to come into you. You're inhaling positivity, you're exhaling negativity. You're inhaling peace and you're exhaling anxiety and stress. So breathing, that's why they say deep breathing exercises. All of that helps you so much. So what can happen is people, when negative emotions stir up, they just quickly are impulsive and they start going on this whole rampage, and they could realize that they could avoid all of that excessiveness by just breathing. Just breathing. And especially people, if you deal with having like a quick temper, or if you deal with anxiety a lot, take a deep breath before you do anything. Just take a deep breath, and then you'll realize when you come back and you center yourself, once you find your center, you are sure to win. Who know where that song came from? It's from Mulan. So anyway, once you find your center, you are sure to win. Once you get grounded and you get centered in yourself and you get balanced, then at that point, you've switched off the ego. You've let the ego go. You've released the mask, and now you can respond in your flesh. You can respond in your soul instead of reacting in the flesh. Which brings me to the second point. Respond, not react. Switch off the ego. Because when you react, that's in the flesh, that's in the ego. But when you respond, reacting is within the flesh, that's within your ego. But responding is within your soul. So when you respond from your soul, you're responding more intuitively. You're responding with your spiritual discernment. You're responding, what was I going to say? From wisdom. Thank you. You're responding from wisdom at that point because you've let go of all of your emotions. And even though those emotions, you still feel them, you basically allowed yourself a moment to process the emotions, feel it first, and then put it in the back so that way you can respond in a more effective way. But what happens is that people can tend to react so quickly and impulsively that they're reacting off of their emotion. They did not allow themselves to process the emotions that they just were feeling. They didn't allow themselves enough space to feel those emotions. So when they have all these emotions and it's very heavy, instead of them just sitting with them for a second and then just allowing them to pass through them, they throw it back on the other person. Now imagine this. Imagine as if we're going to pretend that this is hot coal. It's very hot, right? So what happens is when people are dealing with the negative emotions, it's like they're holding hot coal and it's really, really hot. It's, oh, this is hot, this is hot. So what people will do is they will throw this onto somebody else. They'll throw it to somebody else. I don't want to hold that. You hold it. Because they're throwing their emotions onto other people. So when people project their emotions onto others, it's like throwing hot coal onto somebody else because the person that held it first that this is their cold. They don't want to hold this. It's too hot. The fire is too much. So they want to throw it to somebody else. But what happens is that person is like, I'm not holding this. And they throw it back. And all of a sudden they like, so then they start throwing it. And then like, when y'all start going back and forth, tossing the coal back, tossing this back, it's because no one wants to hold that hot coal, right? No one wants to deal with these negative emotions. So, or what happens is that in order for you to diffuse this fire, because it's going to keep coming back to you, in order for you to diffuse that, to calm it down, is you have to sit here with this hot coal and acknowledge that it's hot. You have to acknowledge the emotions that you are feeling, okay? You have to feel those feelings and accept them for what they are. That is what's going to get the cold to die down. That's what's going to get the heat to come down. It's going to be cool at that point. It's not going to cool off by you throwing it at somebody else. No, you have to deal with it on your own. And that's what people don't understand. Stop reacting and start responding. Which brings me to my next point. Validate your feelings. Whatever those feelings are, if you're feeling sadness, if you're feeling anger, if you're feeling frustration, if you're feeling embarrassment, humiliation, if you're feeling sorrow, if you're feeling guilt, if you're feeling grief, if you're feeling irritation, whatever feeling you are feeling, validate them. You don't have to validate them out loud. You validate them to yourself. Like you can think to yourself, okay, this is really annoying me right now. I'm very annoyed. Okay, I acknowledged that I'm annoyed. I acknowledge that these feelings that I'm feeling right now are valid. So at this point, once you've acknowledged and validated your own feelings and you made it real, now you know, okay, these are my feelings that I'm dealing with. Let me not throw that feelings onto somebody else. Let me handle this person differently. So when you come across another person, then they're probably annoying you. Instead of you just snapping on them, what you'll do instead is, because you validated your feelings, you will handle them in a different way. You will speak to them with more patience, with more compassion and understanding. Because what can happen is this: you give those people grace. Because let's say it's a person that is annoying you. Instead of you, they probably don't even know that they're annoying you, okay? So at this point, you deal with your own emotions first, and then at that point, you handle them in a better way. You are patient with them. Or even if you're feeling anger because something from your past comes up to the surface and all of a sudden you're feeling this and you're thinking about an old fight, or you're thinking about something that happened between you and a friend, or you're thinking about how someone hurt your feelings or did you wrong, and it makes you all angry. You have to validate, like, I'm feeling angry. Don't say I am. Don't affirm that over yourself. You understand me? You just say I'm feeling. Say I'm feeling angry. I'm feeling anger. Acknowledge it. You made it real. And after you acknowledge it, you realize it's just a feeling. And at that point, you allow yourself to process those emotions, those feelings, and you're coaching yourself through it. You see, my baby, the thing that we deal with every single day is the person that we battle with the most is our own self. You have to conquer the self. And how do you conquer the self? By loving yourself, by being patient with yourself. Because you're dealing with all of these emotions. You know exactly why you're feeling so angry, because you know exactly what happened and why you're feeling this way. So don't be impatient with yourself. Be patient with yourself and say, okay, I understand why you're feeling angry because of what happened, X, Y, and Z. You have every right to feel that way. Even if you have to coach yourself and talk to yourself, everybody talks to themselves. Please, I'm an introvert. I talk to myself more than I talk to people, okay? So listen, coach yourself through it. Validate your feelings, make them real, and find a better solution. Lastly, the way that you can bring a solution to the situation is to be loving in the situation. So let's go, for example, let's start with when you're dealing with someone else. When you're dealing with another person and this person has stirred up some negative emotions in you. Instead of you allowing their energy to become yours, instead of you stooping down to their level, remain on your level and be loving in the situation. Because when you're being loving to them, you're also being loving to yourself. Because you love yourself so much, you're not going to allow someone else's energy to become yours. And now you are carrying someone else's emotions that you did not even have. You love yourself too much to do that. And also you realize that you have to love yourself and love your neighbor as yourself. So if you're not going to do that to yourself, then don't do this to the other person. Even if they are doing all of this negative energy towards you. The only thing that's going to stop that negativity is with love. You can't kill hatred with hatred. Only love can do that. Dr. Martin Luther King said that. You cannot kill light. You cannot kill darkness with more darkness. Only light can do that. So what you must do is be loving in the situation. When you're dealing with someone else, be loving towards them. How can you be loving towards them? Is by being patient. By being patient and being compassionate and understanding and giving this person empathy. Like if you can see your spiritual discernment, your third eye is telling you, your intuition is telling you, it ain't even about you, baby. This person just having a bad day. At that point, once again, switch off your ego and realize it's not about you. Because sometimes our ego can get bruised and think, how dare you do this to me? Baby, it's not even about you. It's about them. And when you realize it's about them, you're like, okay, well, I can see you're not having the very best day right now. And I hope that your day gets better. But I'm just going to go, okay? Excuse yourself. You don't have to sit here and be a punching bag. But being loving in that situation is you basically letting that person be seen. Like, I can see that you're not having the best day right now. And I hope that things go better for you. That's being loving towards them. Being patient with them. Because I guarantee you, that's going to diffuse that fire within them. Because someone helped validate their feelings. And at that point, when they heard someone be so gentle with them, they're probably going to have to stop and think to themselves, like, wow, like, I didn't even need to do all of that to them. It helps them. And also when it comes with you, when you're dealing with all of these negative emotions and you're dealing with your triggers, you have to love yourself through those triggers. Coach yourself through them. Like how a mother or a father would for their child, depending if you're a man or woman. Love yourself through that. Give yourself grace. Tell yourself, I understand why you did what you did. You have every right to feel the way that you feel. You got to coach yourself and you got to love yourself through it. The key to healing is love.